We are back with Dr. Missy, and we are going to nerd out for real. Like, nobody except you and I have
It's a weird topic.
talk about this except for my amazing instructor, John Jennis, who's super into this. But we're going to talk all about visceral mobility.
Yes.
So give them like a short description of what even visceral means. So like, what does visceral mobility mean, and why is it so important?
Yes.
That's a big question.
It is.
Sorry.
So that's all right. So visceral is basically another term for your organs. So we're talking about all the organs in your abdominal area. So I like to say the border is your pelvis and then the bottom of your rib cage.
Okay.
So this is kind of your visceral area, and there's so much research. We could talk for hours about it, but the benefits of, they basically need to move. They need to move just like your tissue does, and your muscles and in your face and everything. And if they're not moving properly, you can affect surrounding muscles, nerves, joints, digestion, organ function like adrenals.
And absorption, for sure.
And absorption, definitely.
Yeah. So one of the things, this is kind of like, a long time ago, like Olympics way back in the day, like Michael Phelps like shook his arms, and he's so strong, but every single muscle is moving. So he's super mobile. So I think of it that way. When you think of your tissues in your muscle, like when you're foam rolling, you want to be strong, but you want them to be supple to where they're soft and you can push on them and they don't feel rock hard. Because if they're rock hard, then a lot of you guys know this by now, if they're too hard and then you continue to strength train, you're just making it even more, this like immobile issue continues to cause injury, and you are not getting stronger, you're just actually causing injury.
And you can't get nutrients into your tissue.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the same thing as your muscle, but for your organs, I guess is the best way to explain it.
Yeah, it's interesting. So there's two terms. There's mobility with a B and motility with a T.
Yes.
So mobility is the movement between the organs and the surrounding tissue. And then motility is inside, so the peristalsis inside of your gut.
Perfect. So let's jump into gut. So one of the Chapman reflexes that I use for NTP, so if you ever come to see me in Denver, like when you're palpating the gut, is I'm pushing into the small intestine to see how tender it is. So if you guys ever feel like you're bloating and you say my stomach hurts, it's actually your small intestine. So if you put your hand on your stomach, it's this like small intestine area. And that's a huge piece for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, I don't know, 75% I think is the statistic of people that have that kind of distension. And there's so many reasons for it, but one thing that I love is this piece of motility and really laying on this ball and getting blood flow and moving the pieces that need to be moved so that it can actually absorb nutrients, because that's what your small intestine does, is it absorbs nutrients. Exactly. So how'd you find out about this, and like how helpful has this been for you?
So I found out about it in PT school. I was having some low back pain, and one of my professors specialized in this. So there's two ways you can do it. You can go see a practitioner like myself, and we actually literally can like kind of separate different tissues and get them moving, and then add leg movement, arm movement. But once I met Jill Miller of Yoga Tune-Up, and found this gorgeous ball, it's been fabulous, because the idea is that we are constantly loaded with stress, breathing issues. We eat crappy food because we love ice cream sometimes. And
we were just talking about that.
Yes. And so having the ability to also work on yourself is just, that's my whole work philosophy. So it's just awesome.
I love it. And this is perfect. It's not too rough. It attaches to skin in a way that doesn't pinch. And the reason I love this so much as well is because, and I'll nerd out a little bit and bring it full circle, but like, first of all, psoas is so deep and really hard you can't mobilize it via foam roller or a lacrosse ball or maybe a kettlebell.
A bigger ball, yeah.
Some of you might have seen people jam kettlebells, and it's so aggressive. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but unless I get body work done, I can't touch it. And this was the first thing that I could do when I laid on it. I felt it finally release. So I'm obsessed with this. And I do think with what you said a long time ago, like that buildup in the ileocecal valve, a lot of times that can come from foods that we shouldn't be eating. So for you, it was gluten. It was big, and it just like built up, and it creates a scar tissue, and this helps break that up.
Yeah.
So it's like so crazy how it ties into actual movement of walking and squatting and
everything.
You have no idea that it started with the gut.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing too is you'll have so many people who will get their psoas worked on. They'll use the kettlebell, but they won't the kettlebell's too pokey to get the same effect on the guts.
Yeah.
And so once you basically, this worked more on your intestines, and that allowed her psoas to actually chill out and stop.
Yeah.
Because it's basically protecting.
For sure. That makes so much sense. So should I do it on the table and
Yes.
then you kind of talk me through it?
Yeah.
So people know what to do?
So she's gonna lay basically in between the bottom of her rib cage and pelvis. And she's gonna rest her head on her hands.
This feels so amazing to me. So
then-
most people don't feel like this is amazing.
No.
Should we warm the?
I mean, you
warm
are
them
on
up?
the softer table,
Yeah,
table
true.
so you're cheating a little bit. But the first step is always just to start by breathing into the belly. So a lot of times our abs are really, really tight, and the body just kind of fights and doesn't allow us to sink in. So a few really deep diaphragmatic breaths will help. A few things you want to listen for is your heartbeat.
I feel that.
So feeling your heartbeat's okay, but a lot of people will kind of get on here and text or something or do some work, and you can block blood flow through your abdominal aorta, so you don't want to do that.
Okay. So
So
make
after
sure I'm
a
not
few-
directly on that.
Yeah, but after a few breaths, you can just kind of start rolling around a little bit.
Oh, this feels so good. I'm like when I had stomach issues all through my life.
Yeah.
And the only way that would help it is if I laid on something. And I wish I had this ball when I
ball.
was like 6 years old.
Yeah.
And then to get into psoas, if you kind of want to do a double whammy, it's more on the side, right?
Well, and so what you can do is once you start rolling side to side, you kind of move some of that tissue out of the way, and it will naturally, your body's basically going to work on what it needs to.
Yeah.
And
I
then
love
you
this.
can start to add, she can kind of bend her knee to
Ooh,
wind up
yeah, I feel that.
the tissue that way.
This is really nice. And then let's talk about that parasympathetic. So we talked about stress.
Yes.
And how stress, so many times we hold it up here and we're in the sympathetic fight or flight response. What is your favorite way to get into a parasympathetic response?
Rolling the gut with
Isn't
that.
that so cool?
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
So you don't want to do it before a workout.
don't do it before workout. Yes, do it after or
Yes.
before bed.
Before bed is awesome.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I think it's just so wonderful. Like people have become more regular with this.
Yes, I hear all about poop and all that good stuff.
And I do, this is such a cool piece that I'm excited to work with her on because I love the Repair Vite, the glutamine supplements, the digestive enzymes. That piece is a big piece of my gut challenge. And this piece is the other half of that I think a lot of people like combining these two can be just so powerful.
Yes.
And we're actually doing, I look so comfortable.
Cozy.
We're doing workshops together on hips and mobility and gut motility
Pelvic
and
position.
pelvic positioning, and we're so excited about it because I don't think
Awesome.
anyone's really doing this.
Yeah.
So if you have a CrossFit gym, if you're interested in this, if you want to do a workshop, we're traveling across the country, so please contact us. We would love to come to your gym and get a group of people together and make sure that we're just spreading the knowledge of all this goodness.
Combining movement and nutrition.
Yeah, it's a powerful combo. Dr. Missy, you're wonderful.
Thank you.
Anything
You
else
too.
you want to add?
There's just one
Oh,
more
yeah,
thing.
sorry.
So for a lot of people, this will make them nauseous in the beginning.
okay.
So a little bit of nausea is okay, but if you feel like you're going to throw up, get off the ball.
Okay.
But you can always go up against the wall. So you can always
okay.
modify and still
Not
get the
as
benefit.
intense. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
so glad we got to
thank you.
nerd out on this.
Yeah.
I hope you guys liked it. Let me know your
Yes.
thoughts. And seriously, talk to your gym. And if you can get a group of people, we will come to see you. We would love to do those workshops with you guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah.